After months of rumors and reports, Sony has finally revealed the details of its new PlayStation subscription service called PlayStation Plus.
What?
Plus.
Plus.
That would have been awesome if they said
Ultra
PlayStation Plus
XP.
Plus.
Plus.
Or if it had plus and then the plus symbol after the plus.
Turbo.
The new service combines elements of the existing PS Plus and PS Now service with 3-ish tiers available. And it will begin rolling out in June, starting in Asian markets. I still don't, I double checked. I'm not sure what Asian markets. I tried to find that.
Australia counts.
I don't think we can find what Asian markets they're referring to at this stage.
Like Japan and...
And from June, PS Now will be discontinued as a standalone service. So the 3-ish tiers are PS Plus Essential, which is essentially what you have now. So it's the same price, the same
Nice pun.
games, 2 games at least, an online multiplayer game, cloud storage, discounts. If you want to play online, you need this tier. The second tier is PS Plus Extra, which is about $15 a month, and will add 400 PS4 and PS5 games, which you can download to your console and play. And then finally, this is where...
Sorry, I'll just say up to, like, I don't know, will they have them on launch?
Well, up
Wow.
That
to...
amount?
They haven't even...
Up
they
to
have-
10,000.
Okay, all right, I'll let you go. Sorry, I'll let you go.
Well, let's talk about it at the end of when we talk about the third-ish tier. So the third-ish tier, 3A, is the PS Plus Premium. So they're in markets where they have PS Now, which is going to be about 160 Australian dollars a year, 120 US dollars, so $10 a month US, which is all the things above. And then also will add up to 340 PS3, PS2, PS1, and PSP games, with the caveat that PS3 games will be streaming. Whereas the PS1, PS2, PSP games are going to be available via download or stream. And when we say about streaming, you can also play on the PC, which is pretty cool.
Just with that, do we know if the PS1, PS2, PSP, it's either or sometimes in one, some might be streaming, some might be downloaded and streaming. That's what I'm saying. Like, maybe there might be some that are actually just streaming. We don't know.
I think all of them, like from memory around PS Now, all of them you can download from memory. Or like that's how they've set it up in the past.
Okay.
It's a bit weird, like the whole history of it, because some of them you could rent or you could buy on the service as well, which is really odd. I think they're just trying to clean the whole thing up, obviously, is what they're doing right now.
Good.
Because no one remembers.
Fancy.
They also are going to add, which is interesting, time-limited demos as part of something you buy, which is interesting. Now, where it gets weird, especially very relevant in Australia, is the third tier has a kind of slightly different tier to it, which is 3B, which is PS Plus Deluxe. So not quite premium, it's deluxe.
What?
And it will be in
better than
markets
deluxe?
where there isn't PS Now, which is Australia, which is us. So for non-streaming markets. So it will be a lower price. We don't know what that price is. And it will have PS1, PS2, PSP games for download and play, limited time, limited game trials, but absolutely no PS3 games, game streaming, game downloading, game anything. It does not exist.
60 gig PS3 somewhere I can use for that. Or I could play PS3. Sorry.
Now, in terms of
PS4, they could play PS3 games.
Now, in terms of what games are going to be available, given that extra tier, which will have the PS4, PS5 games, they've already confirmed that Death Stranding, God of War, Spider-Man Miles Morales, MK11, and Returnal will be available in those extra premium. Wait, is it in the extra? Oh, yeah. Extra premium and deluxe tiers.
Nice.
So
And
it's part of
I will
extra.
say I made an assumption on the deluxe one because it's basically premium minus the PS3 stuff.
Yeah, definitely is the case. And did you want to read this quote from Jim Ryan that we think is quite critical?
Sure. We felt like we are in a good virtuous cycle with
Okay, maybe not in that voice.
Okay, Mike. First of all, can we just
Maybe
say
that's
it's regarding the fact that they won't have Sony first party titles on day one in the service,
As
like-
Xbox Game Pass has.
yeah. So, which look, honestly, most of us probably expected, but Mike, like, if you're gonna read it seriously, feel free to read.
All right, we feel like we are in a good virtuous cycle with the studios, where the investment delivers success, which enables yet more investment, which delivers yet more success. We're like that cycle, and we think our games like that cycle. Gamers. Putting our own games into the service, or any of our services, upon their release, as you well know, this is not a road that we've gone down in the past. And it's not a road that we're going to go down with this new service. We feel that if we were to do that with the games that we make at PlayStation Studios, that virtuous cycle will be broken. The level of investment that we need to make in our studios would not be possible. And we think the knock-on effect of the quality of the games that we make would not be something the gamers want.
Which translation, what does that mean, Swinny?
Basically, they make too much money.
Yeah, we like money.
Yeah, we like money.
And we
don't want
believe
to.
gamers like that we make money. And they have to
Yeah.
pay extra for something they could get for free. Like, what gamer would be happy to pay extra if they didn't have to? That makes
course
zero
not.
sense.
Totally 0 cents. I want to pay for my stuff.
I'm disappointed. So Jim Ryan, he's Irish, is he?
Oh, well, now I gotta read the whole thing
that's
again.
what I was just thinking. You got
What
to do
does
it
it
in an
matter?
Irish accent. now.
I gotta.
He does not talk like
I'm
that
not
at
gonna
all.
even try.
He does not talk about like that. He's the one who's like, who wants to play Gran Turismo 4 now that we have Gran Turismo Sport? No one will ever play that game ever again.
Okay, let's
I might have to
open
go
up.
back to sport because I don't want to play.
All right,
frickin'
let's open up
7,
the
Ryan.
Let's
Yes,
open up
Hat?
the batting. Intergot, what are your thoughts on this as an Aussie gamer with a PS5? What do you think of this?
Look, I think the
service.
PS1, PS2, PSP stuff is very, very cool. But it does strike me as super lazy by Sony ultimately. Like, the challenge, I guess, that they're always going to have with the PS3 is it probably... I can understand the economics. I reckon for them to build an emulator that will work on the PS5 is powerful enough to do it. But the amount of R&D that they'd have to put into it, they probably did the maths and just said, we're not going to make any money doing this. Now, I think that's like a shitty thing to do. I think it's like they've looked at it, assessed it, and said, nah, it's not worth it because we're not actually going to make money out of this process, so we won't do it. But I feel like that was the one thing, if they delivered. If they said to people, like, it would have, like, the way I would have structured the presentation is you can download PS3 games as part of this subscription and play them without streaming. That's it. Like, mic drop, right? Like, walk away. People would have been so hyped for it. Whereas it just feels very reactive to Game Pass, very defensive, very uncreative. And for me, it's like, there's a lot of great, obviously, PS1, PS2 games, but it's like, which ones are they talking about? Like, we don't know. Like, people are making assumptions. Yeah, it's all the PS Now stuff. PS Now has got more games than this. So games are going to go, and we don't know which ones are going to go and which ones are going to stay. And if you look at how they launched the PlayStation Classic, it's like, yeah, there was some really good games on there, but it was very haphazard and very lazy and, like, not much focus. So it's super underwhelming for me. I honestly don't see myself going beyond Essential. But I feel like we're going to get destroyed in the PS Plus Essential category. Like, I just cannot see them putting good games in there now. When they have to then decide... You know when they had Final Fantasy VII Remake and they put it as part of PS Plus? I feel like there's just zero chance they would do that, like, as part of PS Plus Essential. They'd be like, oh, hey, great, like, Final Fantasy VII Remake is now part of PS Plus Extra. Right? Like, it just... You know what I mean? Because they've got these tiers, it's just like... I just can't see them doing it. So it's like, it's shit news for me, honestly.
Just look at what happened with Games of Gold. You know, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, great example, right? Like, that's trash now, right? So, like, you know what? Honestly, I think where I'll end up landing is maybe just getting rid of all, like, online with PlayStation. I wouldn't be shocked because I don't use it as a multiplayer system. So, but how about
You're
you,
gonna
Mike?
miss out on. Well, so currently in the last year or so of having the $80 subscription with PlayStation, the only real benefit I've had from it is countless messages saying "try finger butthole"
In Elden Ring.
Ring. Because without it, I wouldn't be able to see them. So $80 well spent, I say.
You got the Uchi katana that I sent you?
That's right.
Wouldn't
and
be
I
able
got
to do
the
that.
Uchi, which, by the way, I have actually used. Dual Uchi bleeding
Dual
katanas,
Uchi, baby.
fantastic. So worth the $80 investment I put in PlayStation Plus. Look, all jokes aside, That is the thing. I paid $80 for this service and I just don't get anything out of it. I don't think I play online enough. I keep forgetting to get the free games. Again, because I just don't play online enough and stuff like that. Cloud saves, useful, I guess. You almost feel like that should be something that, it's part of a service, just like anything else. But so personally, if I could pay just a little bit extra and actually get a catalog of all a bunch of different games, I probably would do that. I'd probably do that like it is with Game Pass. I know we differ on this one, Into God, but I think Game Pass is an amazingly good value. Especially when you get discounts and it's like $50 a year or something. It's just nuts the amount of stuff you can get for that. We'll probably get discounts for this as well, I'm assuming.
Don't know.
So
Who
if
knows?
you can then get a catalog to all these games for 100 odd bucks,
They've not confirmed a discount.
they haven't. But I'm just saying
no, I was saying that's one of the things people are annoyed about is that because even if they, considering the cost of new PS5 games, if they did get a discount as part of this, then there would be a definite value for that. But the fact that they haven't announced that is very telling. Sorry, I just wanted to clarify that.
I think that they've said that if you've got PS Now, they're going to convert it, right? Haven't they?
No, I meant more if you
I know,
don't
if you're
go
getting
directly
PS
through
Plus.
them,
Yeah,
you
I
go
know,
through JB Hi-Fi or something.
Yeah.
They've got a sale on, use vouchers, whatever. You could probably get it down to, $100 for the plus extra or something per year.
Maybe.
I'm talking about game discounts, like if you wanted to buy a game outright. So maybe
okay.
we're talking about different things.
Right, okay, talking about that now, probably different things. So look, to me, I kind of, I feel it's inevitable. I mean, I feel the two big competing players are PlayStation and Xbox now, and for Xbox to offer that service and entice people with it, and for PlayStation to not have that and basically just give you two okay-ish games every month, which is what Xbox were doing years ago, they're going to have to do that. It doesn't surprise me at all that they had to do something like this. Now, when it comes to, as you were saying, what happens with this tiered process, it's a tricky one Swinny, from a marketing perspective, you're probably also in a good position to talk about it, because you do have to be cognizant of the fact that you have these multiple tiers. So you can't offer the lower tier all the good stuff because then people aren't going to jump onto the middle tier or the higher tier. But then if you don't offer good enough stuff in the lower tier, people aren't even going to go into that ecosystem to begin with. So yeah, working at PlayStation right now, trying to figure this shit out, I wouldn't want to be those guys to try to balance it right. But I guess time will tell how that would work. What do you think, Swinny?
Look, there's some stuff to like about this, but there's also, as Indigo was saying, there's a lot about it that is very underwhelming, especially as an Australian gamer. Now, the whole day one thing, it makes so much business sense for Sony to not include any of their first party. So I think it's a very smart business decision. And they've also not... So Microsoft kind of put their foot in it by making that commitment where every game is, so they don't even have a way out. Whereas Sony, if at any point they could choose to have a game launch in there, and they could, at one out of maybe their 10 games launches, and they've got the ability to do that because from the beginning they haven't said it's a thing, so they've got the freedom to do that. In terms of the actual tiers and everything, I'm not a current PS Plus subscriber, even though I did get a PS5 last year, just because I just haven't had a reason to get it as of yet. And reading the interview with Jim Ryan had with GamesIndustry.biz, which is where he was quoted from, he's mentioning that they are also looking to convert people that do not have a current PlayStation Plus thing. And I look at this, and it is a hard sell for me in Australia because the PS3 is such a huge part of that
number
library.
one that you would have wanted.
It's
yeah.
crazy, and I'm definitely interested in the PS1, and I never had a PSP, so there's a lot of games there. But Indigo was saying this, they haven't told us anything about the games. How could I even look at? Oh, it's worthwhile spending that amount of money because it's quite a bit of money to get access to those older PlayStation games when I don't know what's there. I can make assumptions that, oh, look, they'll probably have some Sony stuff there, but it's what about all the JRPGs I've never played? Are they going to be in there, and sure, I could go and look at PS Now lists, but as you said, that stuff doesn't even line up numbers wise. So it just feels weird for them to announce this and not even give any indication of what value there is, and from a game library standpoint for that tier. So I am interested in this, but it will really depend on that library of games and what's in there.
Yeah, I feel like I've just realized I have an issue. I'm the weird one.
Just one.
I've got an issue with with these type of services. Like even Netflix gives me the shits now because it's like, oh, I want to go watch this movie. Oh no, it's on Stan, which is like an Australian specific streaming service for Americans and other people who are not in Australia. And it's like, oh fuck, I don't want to go subscribe to them as well. Like, it just becomes, it's way worse than
It's really segregated.
honestly. I feel like it's now worse than cable and how it was before. Like you just get Foxtel, go okay, just deck out, get the ultra platinum friggin' thing, get anything I want, right? Now it's like, oh, I gotta get Disney Plus. Oh, I gotta get this, and
That's a really good point. It's something I forgot to mention. I'll make quick because I just cut you off. Is as a person who plays mainly on Xbox and having the two consoles, like I can barely play the stuff that's on Game Pass.
Yeah.
But it's funny because, previously people would say the opposite. There's just no choice. I wish there was more choice to be more competitive. There should be more players in the market. So there's clearly a balancing act in all of this with everything.
Yeah.
Too much choice, and oh my god, it's too segregated. I got to go to a million different. Same as on PC. I got to get the Epic launcher. I got to get the Rockstar launcher. I got to get Blast Team, GOG, and not enough. And fuck, they've got a monopoly on it, so they're charging too much. Yada yada yada. It's hard to find that balance. I think. With the streaming stuff like Stan, it'd be really useful if there was something that aggregated all of that stuff somehow. It can't happen,
like
but
a
it'd
box,
be nice.
a cable.
Maybe like a cable box.
You have one remote. And
Well, it's funny you say that because Amazon kind of actually do that. Somewhat related to this because you can actually play games on it as well. But I got the Fire Stick about a month ago, only because I wanted to play Apple stuff. And I didn't want to buy an Apple TV because it was more expensive. And the Fire Stick was like $50 for the 4K one. They had it on special. So I put it in there, logged into my Apple thing. You got to stream it off your phone to the Fire Stick. So it's a bit of a convoluted process, but it works perfectly fine through it. And then I could buy a movie that was only available through Apple for whatever reason. I don't remember if it's probably through some other streaming services that I didn't want to get as well. And then you could stream it through the Fire Stick. And then the Fire Stick has Paramount Plus. It's got a bunch of other ones that you can stream through it. So it kind of does that. It kind of aggregates a bunch of that stuff, which is kind of cool. So yeah, cool. There are some solutions to it.
Cool story, bro.
Well, I think it might be relevant to people that have an issue with a billion different streaming services. Get a Fire Stick.
You could see the episode title, Amazon Fire Stick. It's going to be the biggest takeaway from this episode. Yeah, no, like the whole disaggregation is getting really annoying now. Look, I got to wait till it comes out to see if I'm going to actually subscribe or not. I think the biggest thing is I hate the monthly pricing, but it's weird that they've still got yearly pricing for this. Like, I totally understand where Microsoft's going, where it's like you can only pay monthly. That makes sense to me, right? Like in terms of a business sense.
No, but you can do it yearly.
Yeah, I know, but they're removing. Microsoft's getting rid of all of as many avenues as possible to get rid of the annual stuff. You can see that. I reckon in a year's time there wouldn't be no way to get annual stuff.
Because a lot of people, break
do what I do,
paying $50 a year or something. Yeah.
And the last thing I wanted to say on this is that when PS Now released, there was a bit of a trick. You could get it for really cheap. And you could stack it, and there would seem to be no limit. So people have got it stacked to 2040, right? And the theory that people have is because PS Now is pretty much this with PS Plus and stuff, there may be a 1-for-1 translation to premium, which would be amazing. Like some of these people might have that for till 2040. I actually hope for them. That'll be hilarious if that actually pans out. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, fairly underwhelming for me, but yeah, very underwhelming, I think, for Australians. But let's get into more happy news.